So if absolutely you cannot avoid it, then you have to listen to it on tape. So, and then 3 o'clock we'll do a Zambala puja together. There is no commitments. You need to bring nothing. You need to pay nothing. You need to do nothing except develop a motive free of the 8 worldly concerns. And we'll do a beautiful, wonderful Zambala puja where we all can participate and offer a torma to Zambala. So my monks are going to love you. They're going to make a lot of little round torma bowls. And those torma bowls are cakes made of oats, flour, because of oat, butter, sugar, honey, milk, and yogurt mixed together and blessed and consecrated by the Lama. There's no Lama here, so I'll do it. And then they will be offered to the Buddha Zambala. And I'll tell you the lineage and the practice that you can even do it without initiation. And also a little explanation on his definitive meaning. Because when we say Zambala, everybody shows up. And I think we're going to have to break the walls down to fit everybody in. Because everybody loves Zambala. But in any case, after my teaching, the next time we have Zambala, I think only there will be half the people. No, I'm just kidding. So I'll give you a short explanation after I'll be taken off. So it's been a great pleasure, and I've been very happy to be able to share these wonderful teachings with you that I've received from His Holiness. I don't dare say teach you, but I say share, because that's what I'm doing, sharing these teachings with you. Whether you consider me your guru, your teacher, your master or not is besides the point. We are all Dharma brothers and sisters. We are all on the same level, and we are all in samsara together, so we can share what we have with each other. And that's the most important thing. When you attend a Dharma lecture, it does not mean the person lecturing to you is your guru. It means you are attending a Dharma lecture to get knowledge to practice the Dharma. Full stop. And if you have a guru, it will help you to, in fact, encourage your relationship with your own guru. So when we go to a Dharma talk, it does not equate that that person is your guru. It is a lecture. And so be clear of that. I'm not into the cult aspect of guru this, guru that. I just want to confer the Dharma, and I would like all of you to practice with your hearts, and that would be very, very wonderful. So lastly, let's do a short dedication. By the merits we have collected from the days, the 3 wonderful days that we are able to listen to the teachings, and we're able to receive the teachings in full, and to contemplate and practice on the teachings, for the 3 wonderful days, we dedicate it firstly from the source of these teachings. May His Holiness and all the great lamas of all the spiritual traditions and all the great spiritual masters of all the religious traditions have long life, health, and excellence. May they have happiness. May their wishes and wants be completely fulfilled. Please think about that carefully while I recite that verse.
Li Rewe Gorwe Shingang Di Pende Dewe Wangdu Jingwei Di Chene Zingwang Tenzin Gyatso Yu Shabe Sinde Wangdu
In all my rebirths, may I never be parted from the perfect Guru. May I be able to practice the Dharma correctly. May I be able to perfect the qualities of Dharma and reach the rank of Buddhahood. Gewa Kundu Yanda Lama La Jene Chiji Bela Long Chuji Sata Long Di Yunze Lao Suni Doji Changi Wa Nyun Yu. As I recite the verses, you should think about the meaning and say, may it be so, and it will be very powerful. Jizi Lama Kutse Rabde Chi Nala Chini Chiji Cheba Losa Tene June Sasuni Jure Mizi Lade Inju. At dawn, or dusk, at night, or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Where there is no bodhicitta, may there be. Where there is, may it increase. And where there is a degeneration of bodhicitta, where there is bodhicitta, may it become stable. may we gain bodhicitta.
长居圣觉仁波切，马切瓦那切耶切，切瓦南巴梅巴呀，瓦尼瓦尼梅巴修。长居圣觉仁波切，马切瓦那切耶切，切瓦南巴梅巴呀，瓦尼瓦尼梅巴修。长居圣觉仁波切，马切瓦那切耶切，切瓦南巴梅巴呀，瓦尼瓦尼梅巴修。 东尼东阿里波切，马切瓦那切耶切，切瓦尼哈梅巴呀，瓦尼瓦尼贝瓦修。杰瓦地女对达，当拉桑杰主给的，达瓦吉加马律巴，提萨拉摩哈修。
May I become a fully enlightened Buddha as a result of my Dharma actions, in order to benefit all mother sentient beings. May the teachings of the Dharma spread. Where there is no Dharma, let there be Dharma. Where there is Dharma, let it become strong. Where there is a perversion or misunderstanding of Dharma, may it become clear.
去你结果宗嘎婆，世界那个别瓦那，一切见瓦小瓦那，人间那个藏瓦手，大那世界的水光，这位从业老年，别瓦路上找阿姨，别瓦雨林马军。
So at the end of the teachings, at the conclusion, it is auspicious to recite some auspicious verses in order to dedicate the merits. So, in our tradition, we have a yellow hat representative. It has 1,000. I mean, let's not go and count how many. 1, 2, 3. It has 1,000 threads, which represents the 1,000 Buddhas that will appear in this aeon. Buddha Shakyamuni being the fourth, Maitreya being the fifth. So when the monk puts it on his head, he has a sincere and dedicated wish that by the teachings given, you may meet all 1,000 Buddhas. And the yellow color represents growth. Yellow means growth of wisdom, growth of compassion, growth of practice, growth of merits, growth of long life, growth of health, excellence, in any way, shape, or form. So may you have the growth of excellence and happiness, and may you meet the 1,000 Buddhas that will appear in the future. And when this ritual, when these holy words are recited and the rice is thrown, rice being thrown, rice was is worked for very hard. You have to put a lot of effort in getting rice. So in ancient times, you don't just throw it so easily because it's not so easily available now. So by throwing it and offering to the Buddhas, and by offering to the Buddhas and it falls down on you, you should think that it has been blessed and fallen on you. And like rice has the potential to grow more rice to feed people, like that, may it plant a seed in your mind that you may gain Buddhahood. So you should think like that and concentrate on that.
Sishe naga jini gensi ge tene mishe guma gete nika tabu gete naga kanzo mela yoke zani Jin lo san cha pe che ge te su ma ga che che zhu la chen ne je ran je su ge yo ma zhen ne yin ye ne me Như dunia lama va cho la so la le lo san cha ba yi che la chen ne chen ne nen che zhu lo san do che chang ge ya ye zong la me je mo li ye je de ge je me ni ye lo san da be je ge do pen so me la ru be ta so nam ki de ne chang je ba ye la ye de ge wa je xie ba xie ne je se da be zu je ba ye ne yo je dang de
finally, if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, O Manju Shri. May I find the best of the complete great paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Thank you very much. Sorry to keep you a little later tonight. Many apologies. But we should rejoice. We have received the complete transmission and teaching of this holy text by the Bodhisattva Amitabha. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to do a refresher course by myself so that I may also be able to practice it. I'll see you all tomorrow night for the It should also very strongly think that I will listen to the Holy Dharma, I will listen to the holy teachings in order that I may be able to find the methods to subjugate my mind, purify negative karma, and collect positive merits so that I may become the best or the best source of benefiting others. And that is, may I become a fully enlightened being. For this reason, I will listen to the Holy Dharma talk. Please think like that very strongly. It's very, very important. when we actually start school, in the beginning, play school, or rather, let me say, in the monasteries. In the monasteries, when we join the monastery, in the beginning, from the lower class to the highest class, for a diligent student, it takes approximately 15 years to finish the course, at which time you receive for an ordinary monk, you receive a title, elucidated geshe. Geshe literally means spiritual friend. That is equivalent to a PhD. Then they become a very qualified person to teach the Dharma. And they have all the knowledge, in fact, to practice very well. So, when we first start classes in school, what happens in the monastic school or monastic curriculum, in the beginning there could be 100 to 150 months in one class. Then as you go through one course, the second course, the third course, the fourth course, the fifth course, the class or the members start to drop. Some monks decide that they'd rather study painting, Buddhist art. Some monks decide they'd rather study poetry. Some would like to study history. Some would like to study, writing or composition. Some would like to work in the library. Some would like to do physical work in the monastery building. Some monks would like to actually cook for other Sangha members. Some go serve their guru intensely. Some go into retreats. So as we get higher and higher and higher into the classes, especially when you reach the pit class just before you finish, which is Madhyamika class, or the teachings on emptiness. When you study the Madhyamika teachings by Nagarjuna and his commentaries by Tsongkhapa and his disciples, then what happens is the classes become very small. So you may have started out with 100 to 150 people, but by the time you reach Uma or Madhyamika class, you have maybe 20 to 25, 30 left. Then when they finish Uma and they go into Ze, which is the study of the Vinaya, or the rules and regulations and of a monk, a fully ordained monk, and to understand that well, then it becomes even less. So a handful of scholars will arise. Why is that? The reason is because in order to understand the intricate and higher studies of Buddhism, the more you understand, the more you advance, the more you excel, the more merits you need. So as you advance and you study more, you need a lot more merits. So when we get to deeper, when we talk about general Dharma and general kinds of practices, many people will attend. But when you talk about something very profound, when you talk about something very deep, and it takes a lot of merits to hear that. So actually, when we teach something profound, when we teach something that will be of the utmost benefit, that will transform people's lives, then you will see that the classes get smaller, the amount of people will get smaller. The reason for that is, in order to receive these type of teachings, you need a great amount of merit. A great amount. With all due respect to everyone, you can have very exclusive clubs and restaurants. Most people will not be able to go to those places for obvious reasons. Like that, when you reach higher classes, when you reach better classes, when you reach classes that really are beneficial, you will see that the amount of people will be much, much less. And then as you get even more advanced, you will see only a few. Because it is only those few that can actually understand, have the merits to hear it, have the merits to understand and practice. And within those who can hear it, practice it, and actually achieve it, within 2025 you'll get 2 or 3. So the rarity of the Dharma and the rarity of practice is truly rare. When we say that Dharma is rare, we do not mean that there is not enough Dharma practitioners or the number. We are talking about really realized or really deep practicing Dharma students who actually transform. So when we look at a Buddhist institution, a Buddhist center, you can have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of membership. But when you check who has received higher teachings regarding higher motivations, that becomes less. When you check who actually is practicing, that even becomes more or less. Then when you check who is actually achieved some of the practices, if you're lucky, you have a very small handful. A handful. The reason is because the merits required is incredible. is incredible. I don't know where I saw it. I can't recall at this moment because I like to give you the source all the time. But this time you have to forgive me. I'll remember it at another time, or maybe later on. But I read or heard somewhere, in order to even view, see, have a glimpse, or have any type of contact with Rinpoche, it takes an incredibly amount of great merit. So to even see him, to hear him, to know about him, to be able to even make a small offering. Some people were very, very quick yesterday. Some people bought candles and made offerings to Rinpoche. That is wonderful. In Buddhism, we cannot sell the objects of body, speech, mind. In general, there are exceptional cases. But besides that, buying candles and making offerings to the three jewels or flowers or things of that nature, making offerings is incredible. Is incredible. So in actuality, yesterday I saw many candles. I saw many people making offerings. I felt very happy because they're making an affinity with an enlightened being. I felt very happy about that. So, like today, have offered beautiful candles is wonderful. In any case, to even see, to hear, to have anything to do with Tsongkhapa, to be able to view him, that itself takes a great amount of merit. It's like if you're sick and you need to go to a very, very good hospital, how much effort do you need to even enter the hospital? The minute you walk in, do you have insurance? Can you leave a deposit? Do you have a credit card? Snap that. We make sure you have enough money. Before you can even, they let you sit in the examining room. You can be dying. So on an ordinary basis like that, so on a super normal basis, a higher level, to even see, to hear, to see Tsongkhapa, to hear his name, to even be able to make a simple kowtow or offering or mandala or an incense to Tsongkhapa or fruits, that itself takes an incredible amount of merit to be able to do that. Because why? By doing those things, you earn even greater and bigger and more merits. Then having greater and larger merits, that propels you to larger and higher realizations. When that propels you to larger and higher realizations, you become closer and closer and closer to Buddhahood. So Buddhahood is the ultimate aim. Buddhahood is what we want. We want to leave samsara. We want to be able to help others. The only way we can do that is to become a fully enlightened Buddha. Therefore, on that basis, Rinpoche is so rare and so precious and so difficult to come across. So difficult, so very difficult to come across. Then, Rinpoche himself was predicted in Jambe Tsagyu. Jambe Tsagyu, Jambe is Manjushri, Tsagyu, Tsa is root, Yu is lineage. So the root text, or the root tantra of Manjushri itself, Rinpoche was predicted to come forth and spread the holy Dharma. And Rinpoche's Dharma would pervade the world, pervade this realm, pervade the sentient beings in the future. It was already predicted. So, during Buddha's time, Buddha Shakyamuni's time, Rinpoche was a direct disciple of Buddha. At that time, he manifested as a young Brahmin boy. Brahmin, Kshatriya are different castes in ancient India. He manifested as a young Brahmin boy, one of the highest castes. And in that form, he came up to Lord Buddha and offered him a crystal rosary and prayed to Buddha that he may be able to benefit the teachings in the future. When he did that, Buddha was very pleased with this young boy, accepted the crystal rosary, mala, and placed his golden hands onto Rinpoche's head and predicted, in the future, after I am gone, when my teachings have degenerated in the north to the land of the barbarians, of the red-faced people, at that time you will incarnate and you will revitalize and reteach and to purify the teachings and to reteach it in a way that is understandable, that is easy, that is without complexity, and you will combine my thoughts in such a way that your teachings will become very beneficial to others. You will be the second Buddha. So Buddha Shakyamuni himself placed his hands on Rinpoche's holy head and made that prediction. So later on, Rinpoche appeared in many, many forms, in different incarnations to benefit others. One of his incarnations that came from India was a great master of Sutra and Tantra. A great tantric master who used tantric powers to subdue the negative forces in Tibet to bring Dharma in. It was a great, highly enlightened and sole refuge of Tibet, Guru Rinpoche, or sometimes we call him Leben Rinpoche, or sometimes we call him Guru Petma Zambala, the one that was born from a lotus. So Tsongkhapa at that time manifested as a great, fully enlightened Guru Rinpoche, spreading the holy teachings of Sutra and Tantra in Tibet, and building the first monastery, and countless benefits in our country, and manifested in 8 main forms. We call Guru Tenge, the 8 main forms or 8 manifestations of Guru Rinpoche. Later on, Guru Rinpoche predicted, again, he himself will manifest in the future as a bald-headed monk, wearing a yellow hat, spreading the teachings of Buddha far and fast and exactly. So later he died, he manifested himself as a great Shinde, the one that brought pure monasticism to our country, and from there spread all over the world. Spreading all over the world today was the incomparable master Atisha. We will get into his life stories in the future. They're very inspirational and very beautiful. Later, Atisha himself passed away, entered Paranirvana, and entered Ganden heaven, Tushita. From Tushita, he re-emanated back 600 years ago as the great king of Dharma, Losang Chakpa. Lo means good mind. Sang, because Lo means mind. Sang means good. So Losang means good mind. Chakpa means famous or very well known. So his name was Losang Chakpa. In the prayers, I bow humbly at the feet of Losang Chakpa. So when before he was born, the 9 months he remained in his mother's womb, Tsongkhapa's mother had incredible dreams every single day, every day. Some dreams, for example, of Guan Yin herself coming forth and washing the mother's body, her body, bathing it and putting on fresh clothes and saying, "Be ready. In the future, you're going to have a very, very important guest come to visit you. Be ready. There will be a very important guest coming to visit you. Get ready, get ready." Or sometimes she would have visions or dreams of the great Bodhisattva of power, Vajrapani or Jingbang Kosa, appear to her and fiercely throwing a vajra, throwing a vajra, which is a scepter representing great wisdom and power. He holds a scepter like this, so the great fierce Bodhisattva Vajrapani threw the scepter, and the scepter will come forth and enter the mother's stomach painlessly and dissolve into her. Or sometimes he would dream of Manjushri coming, holding a sword, and throwing the sword at her, and the sword coming and entering her stomach. And when the vajra or sword entered her body, it would create great bliss and great happiness. Like that, she had innumerable dreams, over and over and over and over again, when the incomparable Lord was born. So when he was finally born, the earth shook, rainbows appeared all over her house. When the earth shakes at the time of a child being born or rainbows appear, it's a sign of a supernatural being or a being that has achieved bodhicitta, taken rebirth. So someone who has achieved bodhicitta, at the time of their death or at the time of their birth, there will be certain signs like a slight tremor. Earthquake, not in the sense you have to run for a shelter. So when the Dalai Lama was born, everybody in Tibet didn't run for an earthquake shelter. But the earthquake means a slight tremor that doesn't damage your house, of course. So all of you don't pray that a Buddha appears so your house collapses. So just a slight tremor to let you know, and then rainbows will appear all over the house. Recently, a young Rinpoche was born. When he was born, his family refused to let him go to the monasteries. But they did say they weren't interested in him going to the monasteries, but he had to go eventually. They had no choice. It was a long story. But they themselves said that over their house, there were many rainbows. Many, many rainbows appearing just directly, not way up in the sky, right over the roof. many rainbows appearing during the birth of this Rinpoche. This Rinpoche is a very wonderful and beautiful Kachuba Rinpoche who has joined Ganda Monastery to study the treatise, and then later to join back to his Kachuba tradition to receive the initiations to carry a beautiful Kachuba tradition. So he was a great Jute practitioner cutting off the ego of Machi Labdrin. So in his previous life, he made 400,000 soap offerings to Machi Labdrin, the goddess of cutting off the ego. So anyway, when he was born, these kind of signs appeared. And when Tsongkhapa was born, effortlessly, painlessly, no labor pains, he issued forth from his holy mother, and many rainbows and many signs appeared. And then the neighbors, many had auspicious dreams. And a drop of blood was spilled from the mother's womb as he was born, and where it spilled, where it touched the ground, and there was a holy tree that sprung forth. I have a picture of that tree I just obtained the other day. That tree was 600 years ago, and it's probably the only sandal tree in Tibet, because sandal trees don't grow in cold weather. They only grow in hot, tropical countries like India. So don't ask me, even if you say, okay, that's a good trick, someone brought it from India and they planted it there and said that's Zambala. But even if they planted it, there's no way a sandalwood tree can survive in such cold weather and snows. We're not talking about pine trees. Oh, when Tsongkhapa was born, a drop of blood came out and a pine tree grew. So what? A Christmas tree grew. Of course, Christmas trees and pine trees and spruce trees all grow in the snow. But when I tell you a sandalwood tree grew from the snow, you go, wait a minute, Tibet's cold, right? All ice and all that stuff, how's that possible? Anyway, from the tree, beautiful leaves formed. The leaves will have the syllables of the Manjushri mantra. You can still see today, if you can get a permit to go to that part of Tibet. The leaves will have Om. One leaf will have one syllable of the Manjushri mantra. Om, Ah, Ra, Ah, Za, Na, Di. It's not like when you look at the leaf, well, the imprints within the leaf, there's a darker imprint within the leaf that will form the syllables of the Manjushri mantra. Some of the leaves will have actual shape of the 8 bodhisattvas. So Maitreya Bodhisattva, Chitikarbha, Kuan Yin, Wensuposa, Jingam, you will have the rough shape of a bodhisattva. You look, you'll know which one it is if you know what they look like. So this tree is still existing. Luckily, during the Cultural Revolution, this tree was not destroyed and is well protected, and it's near a monastery there called Je Gu Bum. Je stands for Jerimchi, Gu is body, Bum is 100,000. So there's a temple there that contains 100,000 images of Tsongkhapa. So I don't think there's statues like that, but I think they have a lot of big ones, thousands, and small ones. So anybody who goes there and makes prayer or circumambulates around that place makes a very strong connection to Je Tsongkhapa. So this tree is still alive and it's still there. And I hope you can find a picture, because I saw it the other day. I got it from the Bodhi bookstore, and I sent some to Singapore, but I'm sure I kept one here for our library here. So at a very young age, if I recall correctly, at the age of 6, then Tsongkhapa himself wished to become a monk and take on the full ordinations. So wanting to take full ordination, he took it from the great enlightened master, the Gyawakamapa. Forgive me, I can't remember which incarnation it was. But he took, do you remember? 6th or 7th? 4th? Okay, Mr. Lian says the 4th. No one can say no, no one can say yes, we say okay. Doesn't matter. Whichever Gyawakamapa it is, it's Kamapa. So the great Tsongkhapa received his monk ordinations from His Holiness the Karmapa at that time. And then later, to make a long story short about him, he had done many actions in his life of spreading the Dharma, holding the vows, studying sutras and tantras. The great Tsongkhapa studied under 50 spiritual masters of all the 3 existing traditions of Buddhism at that time, Sakya, Kachu, Nyingma. So Tsongkhapa had one great master, one Nyingma master, and this master can have clear and direct vision with Manjushri Buddha, being that he has already realized emptiness. So when Tsongkhapa had certain questions and problems, he would ask his guru, and this great Nyingma Lama would pray to Manjushri. Manjushri would appear to the Lama, give him the answer, and then he would tell Tsongkhapa. And Tsongkhapa would talk to the Lama would talk to Manjushri, and then the Lama became the intermediary. So then Tsongkhapa, then Manjushri told Tsongkhapa, if you wish to see me and talk to me directly, which will expedite things, then you go into retreat. So Tsongkhapa took 7 main disciples into the mountains and went into retreat for 7 years. In those 7 years, he did approximately over 10 million prostrations to the 30 confessional Buddhas. He did over 35 million recitations of the 35 confessional Buddhas' sutras to purify his karma. He did over 10 million mandalas. Mandalas, Mr. Core, maybe you can lift that up, show everyone. Stand up. Mandala is an offering of the universe where you take the base, you recite certain verses, it's okay, and then you put some things in, and you put another base, and you put some more things, you put another base. It has a lot of meaning. In fact, I'll give a teaching on how to do that in the future, and the meaning is very powerful. So JRMG did over 10 million mandala offerings in 7 years. 10 million. And don't think that he had a wonderful, beautiful copper mandala that was smooth and fabulous. He was so poor he didn't have a mandala. So he found a big stone, and he couldn't lift the stone up. He kept it on the ground, and he took smaller pebbles and rocks and visualized them as jewels, and recited the words and put them on the rocks. So before you do a mandala, you actually have to take the base and wipe it this way. Hold something and recite refuge. Namo Guru Ve, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhamma. Put something on, Namo Guru Ve, Namo Buddhaya. The symbolism for that is to purify negative karma. First you do this way to purify negative karma. Then you do it this way to collect positive karma. So there's a process before you actually throw the stones onto the base, where you go this way 3 times and then this way 3 times. So your palm, so have to go like that. Why? Because there's a vein here, there's a psychic vein here that helps you to achieve bodhicitta if it's pressed and manipulated. So when he did it on stone, Tsongkhapa did it to the point where all his flesh was torn, the blood was coming out, and it became scarred. But even with such great difficulty, he never ever gave up. He never complained, and he was happy, and he had joyous effort toward his practice. So, like that, he meditated on Manjushri and recited tens and tens and tens and millions of Manjushri's mantra. Not like us just sitting there reciting the mantra, not thinking about anything, and just moving our mouth. Actually, just moving our mouth and not thinking about anything, reciting mantra, the benefit is very less. Very, very less. So we can see people who recite millions and millions of Manjushri mantras, no result, because it cannot transform the mind, and the motivation not strong, concentration not strong. So like that, he was in retreat with 7 of his disciples. Incredible, 7 of his disciples. And at the end of 7 years, JRMG had a complete and full vision of the Buddha of wisdom, Manjushri, in his complete form, radiating orange in color, youthful, 16 years old, holding a golden, beautiful sword, smiling, and his body was that of a polished mirror with the sun hitting it, and the brightness of the effect of a huge polished mirror, and the sun reflecting off of it. That was how bright Manjushri's body, so beautiful and so radiant, smiling. And Manjushri took his sword, the handle he put to his own heart, the point he put to Tsongkhapa's heart, and blessed Tsongkhapa, and the last trace of Tsongkhapa's ego, clinging mind, and grasping mind was purified. Completely purified. And the disciples with him, some can see Tsongkhapa very clearly, 1 or 2. Manjushri. Some can just see Manjushri's foot. Some can just see his sword. Some didn't see anything. Some heard something. But only 1 or 2, along with JRMG, can see Manjushri directly. So from that time on, anything that JRMG did, that's one of the visions. Along with that, he had visions of the 35 professional Buddhas. He had visions of the 6 ornaments and 2 jewels, such as Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, Chandrakichi, Chandragomi. He had visions of the great Adisha. He had visions of Guru Rinpoche. He had the visions of the 21 Taras. He had visions of how to say Vajrayogini, Kala Chakra. He had visions of Yamataka. Completely, he had these visions. So, I mean, some of us see some lights and we run around and say, guess what, I saw some lights in my meditation. And we don't know what those lights are, and where those lights come from, and if it's really lights from a Buddha. But if we see a little light, we jump and tell all our friends, and we make sure they know we saw lights. Some of us, we had a good dream last night. We had a dream, we saw a Manjushri statue. We run to the Guru, advertise it, and we make sure everybody can hear it around us. So, in many, many ways, when we see something small and we see something we think is significant, it could even be a demon manifesting the light and tricking you because you're going the wrong way, you're practicing Dharma wrong, and you're going absolutely the incorrect way. The demon's very happy, so he gives you a sign thinking you're going the right way, and then you keep doing what you're doing. Actually, yes, it sounds like a joke. They do that. There are obstructing demons that stop you from practicing Dharma that will appear to you in the form of Manjushri and say to you, you're going the right way. And you think, oh, wonderful. His Holiness Saramji said that when you have a vision of a Buddha, the immediate thing you must do is recite the verse of invocation. You recite the verse of invocation, inviting the Buddha, and do the mantra Za Hum Bang Ho, making them one with the real deity. If it is a real vision, the deity will become brighter. If it is a fake vision, the color will fade, or the deity itself will fade off. So so negative spirits can manifest as Manjushri and trick you. So when we see lights, or we see things in our dreams, or we see Buddhas supposedly, if I was you, I wouldn't advertise it. Because if it comes out wrong, then you're going to be really embarrassed. Really, really embarrassed. So that's why it's very good to remain humble and say, you don't see anything. You don't see anything. And I think with me, I don't have to worry about inviting the Buddhas and dissolving yet. I think I have a long way to go. So, but just in general, Khyentse Soranji said that before. So therefore, it's very, very important. In meditation, you receive signs or anything. Never to reveal, never to talk about it, never ever boast. So to see or hear or remember Tsongkhapa, incredible. Then, after the retreat, he was composing incredible amount of text, over 18 volumes, thick, huge volumes, on every subject, Sutra and Tantra. In fact, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is giving the great Kala Chakra initiation. That Kala Chakra, the lineage was, I think it was brought over from the Kagyupa sect, and Jerimji himself practiced. Don't quote me on that one. Kagyupa or Sakya, I can't remember because it's quite a long time ago. Anyway, he received the Kala Chakra. He practiced and meditated, and Kala Chakra deity appeared to him directly. And then he had his disciple, Kyedru Rinpoche, write a complete commentary and practice on how to do the Kala Chakra. And that is a text that His Holiness, the great 14th Dalai Lama, is using, spreading the teachings all over the world. That was by Tsongkhapa. The Yamataka text, the Vajrayoginis, the Chakra Sambaras, the Hirukas, on emptiness, everything were rewritten in a way that keeps the essential principle theme, but explained more clearly. For example, I can say Mr. Song has one face and 2 arms, he has 2 eyes, and he has medium-length hair, and he's wearing a mala on the left. So for people who have seen Mr. Song, when we say that, it's very clear. Later, when people cannot see Mr. Song anymore, if you make that simple description, it's not enough. So like that, the great Buddhist masters like Jerimji, having great compassion for us, will say, oh, Mr. Song has medium hair, this shaped eyes, this shaped face, his posture is like that, he sits like this, his coloring is like that, his shape is like that. They give a more intimate description of what has already been described by the Buddha. So the great masters like Tsongkhapa do not make up teachings. They practice, realize it, and elaborate the teachings for us. And make it even more and more and more clearer. So the root text is from Buddha, but, or Maitreya, or Manjushri. The commentaries are by great masters like Tsongkhapa. And these masters are not writing, Tsongkhapa or Kyedru Rinpoche, Gyatso Rinpoche are not writing from scholarliness or learning like a professor. They are writing out of realization. So when Tsongkhapa teaches you something about Kala Chakra or teaches you something about Manjushri, he has had visions of them, he has seen them, he can talk to them, then he composes the text. In fact, any text he composes, he talks to Manjushri first, gets his permission, and clears up points, and then composes the text. So therefore, any text that's written by Manjushri, or by Tsongkhapa, or written by Tsongkhapa, is especially blessed. It is said that you will be able to understand it quicker than other texts because it's blessed by Manjushri. Because it was spoken or taught by Manjushri to Tsongkhapa. Even when His Holiness gave teachings, last year we attended, he gave a white Hiruka long life initiation, white chakra Zambala. That was from the visions of Tsongkhapa, in which Manjushri gave him that initiation for preserving people's life, and Tsongkhapa had a vision, received the initiation, practiced the deity, white chakra Zambala, white Hiruka, one face, two arms with Vajrayogini, and attained the powers. Then he composed it and wrote it down, and it's passed down to the day. So people like them, when they compose texts, it's not the same. It's not out of scholarliness. So therefore, when Tsongkhapa writes anything, when he pens anything, or composes anything, or writes anything, it is easier for us to understand. It is easier for us to absorb. It is easier for us to comprehend. Why? Not simply because Tsongkhapa wrote it, because it has been taught or received directly from Manjushri. And being Manjushri is the synthesis of all wisdom energy. Anything he writes definitely will influence us in our intelligence. So anything written by Tsongkhapa, anything given by Tsongkhapa, anything taught or the lineages from Tsongkhapa, the understanding of Dharma will be quicker, faster, and more efficacious on the basis that he has realized, and his main meditational deity was the great Manjushri himself. He himself became one with Manjushri, and he had direct communication with Manjushri. So we have that very, very special feature regarding Tsongkhapa. Then, Tsongkhapa was also the root guru of Gyendundrup, which is His Holiness the First Dalai Lama, the root guru. So, it says here, there are three different aspects of Jet Tsongkhapa. There are three different aspects to Jet Tsongkhapa's spiritual practice: outer, inner, and secret. With regard to outer, Jet Tsongkhapa engaged in all the practices of moral discipline that Buddha taught in the Vinaya Sutra, such as 253 disciplines of a fully ordained monk. From this point of view, he was like a pure Hinayana practitioner who was completely free from the downfall of the Pratimosha vows. So Tsongkhapa was a great, great Hinayana practitioner, a fabulous one, because he held up his monk vows purely and very well to the last minute of his breath. Because of this, all his physical actions were immaculately pure and beautiful, and people naturally appreciated him and developed faith in him because he held his monk vows very, very well. From this point of view, he was a great Hinayana practitioner because those teachings come from the holy Hinayana tradition. With regard to the second aspect, outer inner, Jet Tsongkhapa engaged in all the practices of moral discipline that Buddha taught in the Mahayana Sutras. It was completely free from the downfall of the Bodhisattva vows, such as the 18 root downfalls and the 46 secondary downfalls. All his actions of body, speech, and mind were motivated solely by bodhicitta, and his daily actions accorded with the Bodhisattva's way of life. So the holy 18 root vows and 46 auxiliary vows of the Bodhisattva, he held completely. He lived his life out of Bodhisattva motivation. He acted out of Bodhisattva, spoke out of Bodhisattva, and his whole way of life was that of a Bodhisattva conduct. So, from an inner point of view, he was a great Mahayana practitioner. Then, with regard to Rinpoche's secret aspect or third aspect, he engaged all the practice. He engaged in all the practices of moral discipline taught by Buddha in the Vajrayana teachings. As a result of his pure practice of deity yoga, yidam practices, and the yoga of the union of great bliss and emptiness, he was completely free from gross and subtle ordinary experiences and ordinary conceptions. From Je Tsongkhapa's way of practicing the Vajrayana, his disciples can clearly understand how to lay the foundation for Vajrayana practice, how to progress in this practice, and how to complete it. They can also realize that practices of the Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana taught by the Buddha in the scriptures are not contradictory, but all can be put into practice by a single practitioner. In summary, from among all the scholars in Tibet, Je Tsongkhapa showed the best example for practicing the Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. So he was a Hinayana practitioner, a Mahayana practitioner, and a Vajrayana practitioner. He incorporated all three, and he gave us examples of all three that can be done in one. So he showed that Hinayana, Mahayana, and Tantrayana, Vajrayana was not contradictory to each other, but complementary and necessary, and step by step by step. So outer, he practices monk vows, Hinayana. Inner, he practiced morality. He practiced Bodhisattva way of life, Mahayana. And secretly, he practiced Tantra, Vajrayana. So he was a great practitioner and great inspiration. So when we pray, or we meditate, or we concentrate on Tsongkhapa, because he followed that way, and he did that, he achieved enlightenment in that way, he will have a special blessing that we also can practice the holy Hinayana teachings correctly. Theravada tradition. We will be able to practice the Mahayana traditions, and we will be able to practice Tantrayana perfectly because of his pure example. So he did many, many great acts. So at one time, he was very poor. He hadn't had sponsors yet. He had come out of retreat. He did a puja to Vaishnavana. Out of stone came many, many gold. From that gold, he had gotten beautiful craftsmen, wonderful craftsmen, to make a solid gold ornaments and jewels for the beautiful Joa Rinpoche statue in Tibet. So I think some of you know the Joa Rinpoche statue. You know, isn't it? A Buddha Shakyamuni with the beautiful ornaments. Big one you've seen, isn't it? That was all the ornaments, everything offered by Je Tsongkhapa, sponsored by him. So he's done many, many great deeds like that, which we won't get into tonight. Another time we'll talk. At the time of his death, 63, some texts say 66, but most go to 63. He gave his last talk in Gandhin Monastery. His last talk he gave in Gandhin Monastery, and he was on the throne. And then, in front of all his disciples, he manifested full enlightenment. The rainbow body he manifested. His body became that of a 63-year-old old man to that of a 16-year-old young child, smiling, white, with a slight red tinge, very enveloped in rainbow lights. Many, many rainbows surrounding him. And he sat in meditation and passed away in the prayer hall with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of students. Then, after he had passed away, his students found it was best to mummify his body, to encase it in solid gold. So they encased his body in pure solid gold, and that was in the mausoleum of Gandhin Monastery before 1959. Many, many miraculous signs showed from his body for years. So all the great lamas of all the lineages used to go to Gandhin to make homage to the great Tsongkhapa and pray. Even new oracles or new people who were taking trances of deities, like the Nechung oracles, it's an absolute must that when they're in training, they go to see Tsongkhapa's body, pray in front, and if they're a real oracle of Nechung, they will take trance of the Nechung protector in front of Tsongkhapa and pay homage, prostrate to Tsongkhapa, immediately prostrate. That would be proof that if you can take possession in front of Tsongkhapa, something that's taking possession of you must be something that's working for Tsongkhapa, which is one of the Dharma protectors. Along with that, people who have fits, epilepsy, spirit possessions, they walk from all over Mongolia, North China, Tibet, Nepal, and some parts of northern India to go see the holy mummified body of Tsongkhapa to make prayers and offerings, and in most cases would be purified. So many people who wish to take monk vows, before they take monk vows, used to go in front of the Tsongkhapa holy body and make prayers and make wishes that they can become an excellent monk, an excellent nun, and hold the Dharma and practice. Because Tsongkhapa himself was an absolute pure monk. Therefore, he has the power to bless you to become a pure monk. So he was a very great object of veneration, very great object of prayer, very great object to go on the pilgrimage in central Tibet. In the places he was born, in the monasteries that he and his disciples built. He built the great Gandhin Monastery that had 3,300 monks, the great Sera Monastery that had over 6,000 monks, the great Drepung Monastery, he and his disciples, that had over 10,000. Dashi Lumpa was built by his disciples, which is the Panchen Lama's seat of the great Panchen Lama. Then he also built the great Amdo monastery, Jashikim, and the great tantric monasteries of Gyume, and Gyude, which practices strictly tantra. Thousands, hundreds and hundreds of monasteries sprung up from Jerimchi and his disciples. Hundreds that was ordered by Jerimchi, and disciples went to build. Example, the founder of Sera Monastery, which has over 6,000 monks today in South India, was Jerimchi's disciple, ordered by Jerimchi to open the monastery, blessed by Jerimchi. So he preserved the holy Dharma by opening many monasteries, teaching not only a temple that's empty with no one there, but he also taught the Vinaya, taught the monk rules, and ordained thousands of people into monkhood and nunhood, so that they can enter the monasteries and study and preserve the holy teachings of the Buddha. Because it's only within the Sangha that the monk or the holy teachings can be preserved, because only the Sangha has the time and full energy to dedicate themselves to the Sangha. So he did so much to preserve Buddhism in the world, in the Buddhism we have today, because of his monasticism, his pure monkhood, his pure practice toward the monks. We have monks today. We have monasticism today. Even the very shirts that we wear today. Because Tibetan Buddhism, monks have 3 robes. They have a Dharma robe like this, and then another Dharma robe that goes on top like this, yellow in color, and then a skirt on the bottom. That's the 3 robes of the monks. So in ancient India or the Theravada tradition, you will see the top bare or a light shirt. And this shirt can be anything besides white and black. Being Tibet is very cold. Even Tsongkhapa developed the holy monk robes that we wear. The Dalai Lama wears all the 4 traditions. So this robe, top part, is called a Dengga. Dengga. So De means top, Ga means to cover. So covering from the top. This represents a monk robe. A monk robe, it fits the description, cannot wear sleeves, cannot be black or white, you cannot cover your arms. You cannot wear ornaments, you cannot wear all types of pins, you cannot wear all types of jewelry or anything. A monk actually needs no protection. If he holds his vows, if he holds his robes well, the robes itself is protection against spirits. So a monk that holds the vows actually needs to wear no protection. They need to carry no protection. If they have protection, it is to bless people with. But a real monk will never have to wear protection or anything on their body, because the robe is protection. And in fact, in Tibet, when people travel with real monks, fully ordained monks, and they went to, I'm talking about monks that are not Rinpoches or highly realized or something big. I mean a nice, normal, pure monk, where they travel in difficult places, or afflicted by spirits, or people are possessed. They would take a real monk's robe like this and cover that person up and do prayers. When they take the robes off, the spirit is chased away. That is the power of the monk vows. So, Jerimchi developed this. This is made to look like an elephant. This is the ears of an elephant. When you fold it over, you have a little opening here. It looks like an eye of an elephant. So, this is the ears and eyes. Why do monks run around wearing elephant heads? You may think. Because elephants are strong, sturdy, patient, stable, and has a lot of effort. So a monk should be like an elephant when he practices Dharma. He should be stable in his Dharma practice. He should be strong in his Dharma practice. He should have patience toward achieving his Dharma practice. So all the good qualities that a strong, powerful elephant represents, a monk should embody. And even before Buddha Shakyamuni was born, his mother had visions and dreams that a 6-tusked elephant entered her womb, which represented Buddha Shakyamuni. So the top of the robe in Tibet was made by Tsongkhapa himself. So the very fact that the holy vows of the monks still exist today in Tibet, one of the main factors is that the king of Dharma, Tsongkhapa, ordained thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of monks and nuns and spread monasticism all over. If you check where there are monks in Sangha, the Dharma grows. Where there is no monk in Sangha, the Dharma cannot grow. You check carefully. And if you go to a temple, there's no monk. If you go to a temple where there is a monk, I mean a real monk. I'm not talking about a silly monk like me or a business monk. I'm talking about a real monk. So when you go to a temple that has a monk that has knowledge that can teach, incredible. Incredible. So this was all due to the kindness of Tsongkhapa, who held his monk vows well, who spread monasticism well, and he didn't discover this himself. He based it on the great Indian masters such as Nalanda, monastery, the great Indian masters. So in this way, he spread Buddhism into this generation hundreds of years later because of him building monasteries, holding pure monasticism. He knew that was the best way to preserve the holy Dharma, by making more monks and nuns, inspiring them, teaching them, and inspiring them to hold the rules well and to study. In fact, the study or the curriculum in the monastery is inspired and taught by Tsongkhapa originally. So today we have many enlightened beings in the world. For example, the Dalai Lama. It is the kindness of Tsongkhapa again that they are around, because he had the vow to pass down all the way to Tsongkhapa through a line of gurus. The teachings, the tantras, the initiation, the practices, all came from Tsongkhapa through. And another unique feature about Tsongkhapa is we have three holy and wonderful sects, like three rivers coming from one great mountain, which is the great Sakya, Nyingma, and Kagyu traditions. And in the Tsongkhapa's tradition, the new Kadamba tradition, Tsongkhapa combines all three traditions. So if you like Tibetan Buddhism or any form of it, if you practice a combination of it, the Tsongkhapa tradition, or the Gelugpa tradition in this case, Gebe Gelug means virtuous way, literally, or this tradition, you are practicing the three yanas, Hinayana, Mahayana, and Tantrayana, because the Jeremchi did that. And you are also practicing Sakya, Kagyu, and Nyingma. So when you practice Jeremchi's tradition, actually you are practicing all the forms of Buddhism that exist in this world. Hinayana in the beautiful Theravada traditions, Mahayana in Northern Buddhism, and Tantrayana in Northern Buddhism. And you are practicing the three holy lineages that are alive, that are extensions of the lineages from ancient India, the original form, which is Sakya, Kagyu, and Nyingma. And His Holiness, the Great Tsongkhapa, had gurus from all three traditions, and he took the teachings and combined them into one, which is what is existing today. So when you practice the Gelugpa teachings, you are practicing the synthesis of Hinayana, Mahayana, Sutrayana, Sakya, Kagyu, Gelugpa. So it's excellent. Therefore, a Gelugpa practitioner, one that follows Tsongkhapa, must especially respect the other denominations of Buddhism. Especially, you will never ever see a Gelugpa Lama. I mean a real one, not a silly one. Isn't that naughty? You all thought about me. When I said silly, everybody went, that's not very nice. Then, so a follower of Tsongkhapa's tradition should never ever be biased, and should never ever make a distinction between the different denominations of Buddhism. Ever. Because they are the synthesis. So if you make criticism of any denomination of Buddhism, you are cutting off one branch of Jeremchi's teachings. So it's very important that we who follow or pray to or have faith in Jeremchi must have faith in him in the correct way, not say, oh, you pray Jeremchi, that's good, you pray to another Buddha or Guru, it's not good. No. The way you pray to Jeremchi, the way you show your respect, is to respect all the Gurus, because you might be indirectly insulting one of his Gurus, one of his teachers, one of his lineage. And most likely, he has it all. So therefore, as a follower doesn't mean, oh, I'm Gelugpa. That's ridiculous. That's just a label. A follower means one that has faith and practices and prays to Jeremchi. Your special commitment is never to scorn other denominations of Buddhism. The beautiful Theravada traditions, Mahayana traditions, Tantrayana traditions, Japanese Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Thai Buddhism, Sri Lankan Buddhism, Vietnamese Buddhism, etc., etc., you can never scorn, because he practiced that. We can never ever scorn the other sects, Gajupa, Sakyapa, Nyingmapa, never. So as a follower of Tsongkhapa, we can never ever become a sectarian to other Buddhists. And we must always remain quiet. Whatever other people say or do, never mind. Whatever others say or do, you don't have to follow. You follow Tsongkhapa and his example. He became a Buddha, which is to never ever speak negatively about another sect, another denomination. So if one of your friends is going for teaching to another sect or denomination, say wonderful, encourage them. If someone's following the Theravada traditions, please follow. If they're going to maybe Brickfield's temple, which is very holy, And the reverend there, which I had read his books and stuff, is a bodhisattva actually, is excellent. If someone's following that tradition, you don't say, oh, come here, come here. No, say, go your tradition, follow. You should say that from your heart, respecting it, because Jerenji respected that tradition and followed it and became enlightened. So if someone's following that tradition, say, yes, yes, by all means. Help them, encourage them. Sometimes drop them off there. In any way, shape, form, no joke. Because if you criticize any form, Jerenji won't be pleased. You are not a true believer in Jerenji's tradition or Jerenji's enlightenment. So that's very, very important to know. And Jerenji, incredible, he had shown many miraculous signs during his life. Even after death, he had shown many, many miraculous signs after his death. And one of the many statues to speak, we call it Sun Gyurma. Sun is speech, Gyur is to talk, Ma is making it an object. We had many Jerenji statues that spoke. Incredible, incredible. I'll tell you a little bit. So maybe we stand up and stretch for 5 seconds and then sit down. Tsongkhapa with faith is a powerful method for receiving the blessings of all the Buddhas, and if we have strong faith, simply keeping a statue of Tsongkhapa in our house will cause that place to become a holy environment, will protect us from poverty. Just having strong faith in keeping a statue of Tsongkhapa in our house will cause that place to become a holy environment and protect us from poverty. Just having a statue of him in your house, just think about that. Not even meditating, not even praying, not even making offerings, just having a statue of Tsongkhapa will bless the environment. You always want monks to come and bless your place. If you put a Tsongkhapa there, it's equal to monks blessing the place. And will protect you from poverty. Even if you have the worst karma to become very poor, if a Tsongkhapa statue is there, you will still have enough merits, blessed by his presence, to get food, to survive. When Tsongkhapa passed away, the whole country was overwhelmed with sorrow. Mongolia, Tibet, North India, China, North China, the emperors of China were in great sorrow and great pain. Not only could they no longer see him directly, but since there were very few representations of him, most people were unable to even see his holy likeness. Many craftsmen set about making statues and painting tankas of him, paintings and drawings. Although Tsongkhapa had not publicly displayed his miraculous powers all the time, after he passed away, he performed many miracles through these statues and tankas. 8 statues in particular have since become very famous in Tibet, very famous. They are known as Je Sheparma, the Venerable One who disappeared with a smile. Je Nadrama, the Venerable One who is better likeness. Je Shenpema, the Venerable One who is more beneficial to others. Je Kutima, the Venerable One who dissolved into the body. Je Nam Purma, the Venerable One who rose into space. Je Tsung Ong Gelekma, the Venerable Chief Merchant Gelek. Je Tzu Dokma, the Venerable One who pacifies conflicts. Je Ling Purma, the Venerable One who gone to another land. So there are 8 great statues. I'm not going to read you all the stories. In the future, I will ask the hard-working people in the committee to rewrite these, and we can have these to read and understand what he had manifested. But I'll tell you 1 or 2. Then, in general, there are many people who are harmed by spirits called peha, or a type of spirits. These spirits enter into people's body, causing them to become insane, interfering with their spiritual development, or causing untimely death. Once, while Fenden Sangpo was engaged in retreat on the Midsummer prayer, Jerenji retreat, at a place called Sapu, a peha spirit began to harm a rich family who lived nearby. Many of their relatives had already been killed by such a spirit, and now the spirit was trying to enter into the body of the son of the only son of the family. The member of the families were very worried, and they requested Fenden Sangpo to stop the spirit harming their son. The great Fenden Sangpo accepted the request and gave the father a number of beads from the mala he had used during his mystical recitation. So he didn't even turn on Krishna. He didn't even go to the house to do rituals. He just gave a few beads, and the beads were used during the Midsummer recitation. So he had recited Migme Tewe Techin Chenezi on these beads and blew on them for many, many years. and he just gave the bead to this family. That's why I have to go to do house blessings. I don't have any beads to give. And if I send my beads, they don't work. Maybe I think I'll save myself time and practice Jeremy harder. Then I can just send beads to people. I just realized that today. Okay. So